Alright. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright.
Yeah.
Minutes to spare.
Oh, it's literally right now.
Sweet. I imagine it's recorded. I'll watch it later too, right?
Oh, yeah, there's only 10 people watching right now. Yeah, just MPTV-CloseUp. MT, not Pleasant, TV, close-up. That's,
You can watch it probably live or watch it.
yeah, there's 9 people watching right now, which is
Better than no one.
our JV volleyball games get like 200.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so yeah, 9 is that's okay. Our show choir will pull in about 6,000. Those guys we like. Yeah, live. And we do really well when it comes to drama and sports and stuff like that. Unfortunately, what we're beating are not the crowd favorite. Maybe if it was full. Maybe if they let him go full contact. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. At our we get analytics from our videos, and so after they've been up for a while, they'll tell you who's been watching it, right? And so like we had exchange students from like Italy and Australia, and so their parents were watching them play overseas. And then, especially when the war was still going on, we get hits from Afghanistan, Iraq, and their siblings are watching them, from overseas. So, but yeah, school meetings. We're up to 11.
There's 2 of them.
Kevin here on the end.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for showing up tonight. My name is Mark Hempen. I'm the Henry County Health Center Foundation Director, and I'm a member of the Mount Pleasant Area Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. The Mount Pleasant Area Chamber Alliance is a nonprofit membership organization with the mission of enhancing the quality of life for the people of Henry County through economic growth. We rely on and encourage volunteer participation from area businesses, organizations, and individuals that support the community. We serve as a focal point and advocate for the business interests of the Mount Pleasant area at local, regional, state, and national levels. We would like to thank the Mount Pleasant Community School District for allowing us to meet here this evening and for this important forum. So unfortunately, 2 of our candidates were not able to join us. Angie Blint and Danny Graber are unable to be with us tonight. Angie did submit a few comments in her absence, and I will gladly read those for you. Good evening. I'm sorry I'm not able to attend in person due to previously scheduled work travel. My name is Angie Blint, and I am running for one of the 4-year at-large director seats. My entire family is from Mount Pleasant. My husband, Anthony, and I graduated from Mount Pleasant Community High School. We have a daughter that recently graduated and a son in middle school. My husband coaches in the district, and I currently volunteer at the middle school and elementary schools. I was also previously active in the Mount Pleasant Community PTA. I am employed by Lomont Molding, who is an active community and school district supporter. The role of school board director is challenging and rewarding. We get a front row seat to listen to issues that arise and need attention, but also to all the wonderful activities and achievements of our students and staff, and that is why I would like to continue to serve on the board. I want to continue to help MPCSD grow, make positive changes, and provide our students the best education possible. One of the strengths I believe I bring to the board is listening, keeping an open mind, and not being afraid to ask questions. I try to utilize all that we have learned from presentations, school board workshops, reading materials, and individual conversations when making decisions. I also use my experience in manufacturing, continuous improvement, and leadership when asking questions and making suggestions. One of the keys to providing our students the best education possible is making sure we have the right resources in the right places. This is an area of opportunity for us. Finding and retaining high-quality employees is a challenge, and it's not unique to education. This will continue to be a focus. Another challenge is space and facilities. The district needs to continue to invest and be creative on how to best utilize educational spaces. I believe with the right staff, community support, active administration, and a diverse board, we can continue to work together to make Mount Pleasant Community School District a better place each day and help to empower our students to achieve without limits. That's the statement from Angie Blind. Let's begin tonight with explaining the format of our conversation tonight. This is not a debate format, but instead it's an opportunity for you to get to know these candidates. We're going to start off with opening comments for about 90 seconds from each one of you, and then we will move on forward to prepared questions from the Chamber of Commerce Government Relations Committee. The candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question. At the beginning of each round, the candidate will draw a new question out of the basket. None of the candidates have seen the questions in advance. So let's begin with opening comments. We're going to start in alphabetical order, or in any order at all. We're just going to start off with opening comments. We're going to have you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for school board. Each candidate has 90 seconds. Oh, use that. Want to turn your mics on.
Well, good evening, and thank you for coming tonight. Kind of feel like I'm on a school board meeting right now. I'm always the end of the table is first to vote. I guess I'm first to talk tonight. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kevin Sandersfeld. I am running for the District 2 four-year position. This will be my third term. A little bit about myself and my family. My wife and I were born and raised in Mount Pleasant. We both attended K-12 in Mount Pleasant School District. And our 3 children currently attend. We have one in high school, one in middle school, and one attending Salem Elementary. So, as I mentioned, this is my third term. It's been very rewarding. It's been challenging at times over the years. But I would ask for everybody's continued support. I, of course, appreciate past support on my years of the board and the votes in the past. So, you know, a lot of people, a lot of subjects come up on why are you running again? Well, obviously, it's something I find very rewarding. I like to give back to the community and pay back those who paved the way for us when we were younger. One of the important things about being a school board member is always being willing to listen, always being patient. Try not to take things too strongly to heart, but I guess to close out my opening statement, kind of what my, I guess if you want to call it a vision statement was that I have for running again for board is we can always agree to disagree. We're never going to agree on every topic 100% every time. That's just life. However, the most important thing is to come together as a collective for our kids because they are our future and that's what we're all here for. So without taking up too much more time, I'll pass it to Sarah.
Thanks, Kevin. My name is Sarah Donnelly. I'm also running in District 2 on a 4-year term. My husband Matt and I moved here in 2011. This is his hometown, his family, and all of his aunts and uncles, they all went to Mount Pleasant. Grandparents are here too. You know, we have 3 young kids. We have a kindergartner, a 2nd grader, and a 3rd grader. They're at Harlan Elementary. You know, when we moved here, we opened Mount Pleasant Chiropractic, so we own a small business. We know how to run that, and we've been very active in the community since we've been back here. We care about Mount Pleasant. We want it to grow. We want to see us do better, and you know that's a big reason why we're running. You know, I care about the education of my kids, obviously. I want to make sure that they're in a good learning environment, and I care about the community at large too. We want to see it grow. I want to see the teachers retained. I want to see us, you know, have these, you know, really active schools that really make education the focus of Mount Pleasant. I spent my year in human resources, my career, and most recently I was employed here at Walmart Distribution. I was the head of HR there. Now I work for a global tech company. So I know how to attract and retain talent, I know how to lead, I know how to manage leaders, and so I know how to take things to that next level.
Thank you, sir.
Technology. I'm Mike Hampton, or Michael Hampton, that's on the ballot. And I I want to thank the Chamber for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight. I want to thank the candidates, because I think this is neat that we have a number of candidates that are running for school board. I've lived in the community since 1972, my wife and I, and I was trying to remember the last time there was probably a major contested election on the school board. So I have been active in the community. I've been a coach. I've been an educator in the classroom for 23 years. I taught in Mount Pleasant Community Schools. In fact, this building was built the year I ended my teaching. I taught in the old high school in Mount Pleasant, so I know what oldness is like. And so I didn't get the opportunity to teach here. My wife and I, Anita, have 3 grown children. All 3 graduated from Mount Pleasant High School. We also had 2 foster children that graduated from Mount Pleasant Community High School. I've been active in the community. I've been, like I said, I was an educator for 23 years. I've been part of Noon Rotary, Festival of Lights. I was co-chair of the Jail Committee Task Force that passed the bond issue for the jail. I have been involved in a number of other activities. It seems like giving back to the community is the thing to do. Why am I running for the school board of Mount Pleasant Community Schools? I'm an advocate of public education. Public education is being attacked.
Hi, I'm David Millard. I am running for the 4-year term for the at-large position. I say I'm a product of Southeast Iowa, to let you know a little bit about myself. I grew up in the area. I'm a high school graduate of Mount Pleasant, and I have a background in marketing and communication. It's one of the skills I want to bring to the board, as well as to increase our communications with the public as to what is going on in Mount Pleasant and the school district. I also have a career in economic development. I've spent the last 9 years working in economic and community development with the main role of connecting business and education. So being able to show our young students what kind of opportunities are in Southeast Iowa is really a passion for me. I spent the last 8 years on the Governor's STEM Council for Southeast Iowa and was the president for the last 2 years. And STEM education is something that I want to bring to Mount Pleasant in more robust form. I think that we have places to grow there. And I also have experience working with state and local government. I have 2 kids in the district, a high schooler and a kindergartner. So I'm very invested in this, and thank you, Mark.
Good evening, Kevin Schrader. Thank you to all those people that let me put a sign up in their yard, mowed around it, straightened it, and fixed it. Carolyn White is here. She's a longtime teacher. If she happens to get up and leave, I said, if there's a hot question, pull the fire alarm, please. So that'll help me out. Why am I running? You're looking and saying, this old guy, what's he doing up here? I think it's just time for me to give back a little bit. You know, I think it's just part of what you do. When you're younger, you're raising kids, you're busy, you're doing all things, starting a business. My wife and I, we run Schrader used cars here in town. My wife runs Swan Pro 34, and so we do that. What we're trying to, and we put 3 children through the system, and now we have 4 grandkids we're putting through, or Hadley, Bowden, Madeline, and Bristol. And I thought, you know, I want to be a better part of it. So when I started out on this little bitty journey, I thought, okay, I'm just going to put my name in the hat, run for school board, and 5 people will all get along there, but it'll be happy. And then there'll be 11 people, and we all of a sudden have a little competition in there. And so it would have been a lot easier if we just had it limited. So I thought, I want to bring a business sense, I think, to it. There's a lot about education that I'm going to have to sit down with a lot of teachers, a lot of educators, and I'm going to have to learn a lot, okay? There's a lot about how you run it, what you do. And so I'm looking at it from that aspect, thinking I can bring a business sense from it. How much money do we spend? When do you spend money? When do you stop spending money? Where do you spend your money? How you do it? And I think after running a business for 40-some years, that I think I have a little bit of experience that I hopefully can bring to the table with that. So, yeah, thank you.
My name is Josh Maher, and I am running for the 2-year at-large bid. Community involvement. My wife and I moved back here about 10 years ago, and since then I've been in Rotary, Kiwanis, Pheasant Scrubber, St. Alphonsus, Main Street. I'm currently president of Pheasant Scrubber, and then the McGuire Board. For those of you that don't know, the McGuire Board is the group of realtors in town that funds the building trade program for the school. So I'm on that. Business-wise, I do have my real estate license at Cottage Realty. My wife is a partner at Mount Pleasant Dental Associates, and she is also my boss there. When I'm not doing any of the community involvement stuff or my job, I do stay at home with the kids. We do have 2 young kids. Jaden is in 2nd grade and Keelan is in preschool. Will be entering the district next year as a kindergartner. I have family, so I graduated from Mount Pleasant, my wife graduated from Mount Pleasant, my parents graduated from Mount Pleasant, my grandparents are here, Carla's parents are here. We have my mom that's an employee of the district, and some other relatives that are employees, my in-laws. So I'm very involved within the district, I'm very involved within the community. Why I'm running, I think it's pretty obvious. I'm a young family, or I have a young family. I'm going to be in the district for quite a while, and we are already very community involved.
First off, I want to thank the Mount Pleasant Area Alliance for having this forum. It's good for the community to learn more about us as candidates. My name is Aaron Williamson, and I am running for the 4-year seat in District 1 for Mount Pleasant School Board. And a little bit about myself, I'm a graduate of Mount Pleasant. I was born and raised here and moved away for a little while, but specifically moved back so that my kids could go through this school district. I thoroughly enjoyed my time here in the school district, and I felt like it was a top-notch, high-level education experience, and I want my kids to have the same opportunity. So I want to jump on and give my time to help bring the board and the district back to how I remember it, to where we can retain teachers, have teachers be proud to work here, have a line of new teachers waiting to get on to teach here like there once was. I have young kids in the school system. I have a kindergartner and a 3rd grader, and that's another big reason why I jumped into the race. Yes, we are busy as young families, but we can offer a perspective of what's going on in the here and now in the school district as it's happening. My big platform for running on is I want to get rid of the divide that is currently happening between the board and the teachers. I've heard a lot of complaints. I'll talk more about that later. Thank you very much.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am Derek Mullen. I've served on the school board for 2 years. I am running for the District 2 2-year seat. I'm a lifelong resident of Mount Pleasant, a graduate of the class of 1999. I earned an industrial technology education degree from the University of Northern Iowa, and I taught for 7 years. The last 2 of those were here at the high school. I was the woodshop teacher. I transitioned in 2012 to farming full-time with my brother and uncle, and we're right north of Mount Pleasant. My wife Tina is a teacher at the middle school. She teaches social studies. My oldest son is a freshman here at the high school. Middle daughter is in 7th grade at the middle school, and youngest son is 4th grade at Harlan. I was on the Ag Task Force that started the current agriculture education classes at the high school and the FFA. This is the 4th year of that program, and that's kind of what gave me the push to get on the board 2 years ago. So I believe with my background, community involvement, continued communication with the members of the community, that I can make an effective board member.
Good evening. I'm Melinda Husiga, and I am running for the 2-year position in District 1, and District 1 would be Mount Pleasant City proper. I too am a native of Mount Pleasant, born and raised and educated here, a proud graduate of Lincoln Elementary. I won't say what year, but I probably was one of the first classes that went through that school. I earned a BS in Business Administration from Upper Iowa and worked for 33 years for an insurance company in downtown Des Moines. I retired there as Vice President of Human Resources. While both my husband and I worked in Des Moines, actually we were competitors with different insurance companies, we raised our son and daughter in Carlisle, just outside of Des Moines. The skills I learned in human resources, I feel, helped me as I was on the school board for the Carlisle district for 12 years, having served the last 5 years as board president. Upon retirement in about 2010, my husband and I relocated here to Mount Pleasant to help my mother. After 51 years of marriage, unfortunately last year, my husband passed away. At that time, I assumed his role as executive director of the Old Thrashers Foundation. I am also a board member of Midwest Old Thrashers and a steering committee member of Festival of Lights. I operate a steam engine, if any of you know me, and I have fun in the spring at school tours. I give live demonstrations to 1,000 upper elementary students on how to run a steam engine and how it was used. Am I finished? All right, I'll finish later in my closing. Thank you.
Okay, so each of the members have drawn out the questions out of the basket. We'll have 1 minute to answer each one of the questions. So we'll start with the first question, and we'll just continue to go down the line like we did before.
All right, so my question is, where do you see the district in 4 years, 10 years, 20 years? And what will you do to help us get there? So I see our district continuing on. As everybody knows, we have declining enrollment every year, but I think we'll see ourselves combating that. I foresee ourselves expanding our futures, expanding our facilities, bettering them, and keep on improving. You know, education is a lifelong process, and that goes for board members too. As far as what I will do to help get us there, I will do whatever is in my power to be a great communicator, a great voice for the community, be a great listener, and a great advocate for our students and our community.
Okay, mine is, what particular skills or experiences qualify you to serve as a school board member? So I've spent my career in human resources, and doing so, I've been able to reduce turnover, I've been able to increase engagement, and really manage effectively through leadership, and teach others how to lead too. You know, my time at Walmart Distribution Center, we took turnover from 30% to 18% in a couple of years using a detailed strategic plan. I know how to do it. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis. Now I do it for a global tech company, and I'll bring my skills to Mount Pleasant School District and help as much as I can.
My question is, what do you see as the current challenges facing public education in our state and country? Like I said in the introduction, public education is being a target by some groups, by some individuals. But I think some of the issues are investment, money, and some people say, well, you can't keep throwing money into something that doesn't get better. Well, we forget what teachers are being faced every day. Not only are they teaching, but they're being the social worker, they're being the discipline, they're being so many different actions they have to take during the course of the day. So I think the state of Iowa, investment. Also, we have the issue of vouchers now in the state of Iowa. Vouchers are fine, but the schools, the individuals get those that go to the private schools that are chartered, they are not accountable for their dollars. They do not have to tell the taxpayer where that money is being spent. Public schools have to dot the I, cross the T's, show where every penny is being spent.
So my question is, preparing our future workforce for success is necessary for community. How can the school district better engage with local businesses with career technical education programs? So, like I said, I was in economic development for the past 9 years, and this was my main role, was to connect our business and education so that local students know what local careers are. One of the things I'm very passionate about is career and technical education. Like I said, I grew up in southeast Iowa, was a graduate of Mount Pleasant, and I didn't know what kind of career opportunities were here until I started working with Mark at the radio station for an internship while I was in college. And getting that experience and then going into economic development, you learn so much about what kind of careers are available in Southeast Iowa, and you can make a good living with it. So that's one of the things that I want to increase in my time as a board member if elected, and being able to connect students and education.
What's your favorite pizza? You guys look tough out there, okay? Don't light me up just to hear. If elected, what would you hope your key accomplishments of the board during your years of service? You know, I look at it and I think we are a proud community. We're a good community. We got great people. So how do you improve all that? Well, you make us just a little bit better, you know, there's always room for improvement. So what can we do? I look at the teachers, and it's changed so much. How do we keep the teachers on board? How do we give them that incentive, not only with pay, but giving them the place where they can teach the best? How do you do that? That's one of the things I'd like to do. I would like to look at it maybe from a financial sense also and saying, hey, can we save for a rainy day? There's nothing wrong with that old saying, you know. Can we do a few of those things so we have, if there does come a rainy day, can we provide what we need to do? Can we keep our teachers, our staff? And also, I think one of the biggest things that I looked at when I started this, how do we keep the community involved in this? How do they come along board with us? Because they're a big part of it. Because you guys are going to go to the polls next week, and you're... I had a good line there, too.
Kevin, I wish I could answer that question as well, but instead, what are your thoughts and or concerns regarding censorship of books and academic text? So, my favorite pizza is, right? So, I can have my own thoughts about that and I will share them, but ultimately it is going to be up to what the federal and state decide what they want to do, and I am just a local school board member. And I have to follow their rules and guidelines. Now, when I read this question, I think actually back to my high school class and the book Fahrenheit 451, where if I remember correctly, they took all the books and then threw them in a pile and burned them correctly. I hope that's right. It wasn't great. Mr. Brown would probably not be too happy with me if I'm wrong, but if I remember that correctly, I thought it was ridiculous then, and I think it's ridiculous now. We should have our books and be able to read them. We can say I do not want any pornography in the schools, right? No pornography, but for our books, our historical books, they should remain here. Students should have access to them.
We've got our second round. They'll all pull out the question for the second round. Sarah, we're going to start with you.
Okay, what should our school district be doing to ensure the safety and of students and staff? So, I've reviewed our policies. I've gone through those, and I really think that we need an upgrade on those. One of the things that I'd like to have is a detailed disciplinary guide per grade level. I introduced it at a board meeting last year in January, but that's something that, you know, people need to know what the guidelines are, right? When you're a kindergartner and you throw a chair multiple times in a week, what's going to happen? How are parents going to be involved? How are the teachers going to be able to react? Are teachers going to get in trouble when they call home or if they have a child sent home? We need detailed guidelines on that. Right now, the disciplinary guide in the policy is not per grade level, it's just pretty generic. You can go on the board's website and read that. But yes, ensuring our kids have a safe learning environment is one of my top priorities, as is keeping our teachers safe too.
The school district has been discussing the future of all elementary schools. Please provide your thoughts on neighborhood schools, grade alike, and our one elementary campus. This is a toughie. Right now, the school board has decided to move to the grade alike buildings and go away from the neighborhood schools. There's pros and cons to each way. Going to grade level schools, collaboration of the teachers, the ability for the teachers to be able to discuss and do work with multiple students, multiple groups, reading groups, math groups, help each other out with students that need more help or to help students that can be exceeded. It's also combining resources, so there may be some savings there. The one thing I would suggest is if go staggered start time for parents that have kids in multiple elementary schools. So you may have to go to that stagger, because that's a disadvantage, because if you have a family that is in 2 or 3 different schools, you got to get moved around, so forth, so I suggest a staggered school.
So my question is, an individual school board member has no authority. Only the board as a whole can make decisions for the district. What skills or traits will allow you to contribute to effective operations of a board as a whole? So to kind of answer that question, even though I was a resident of Mount Pleasant and Salem, Henry County, I worked for Lee County Economic Development. If you're familiar with Lee County and the state of Iowa, there are 99 counties and only one that has 2 county seats, because Fort Madison and Keokuk cannot agree on anything. So my role in Lee County was to look at the county as a whole and bring the 2 communities together. Even though I don't see Mount Pleasant as Keokuk and Fort Madison with 2 county seats, we do have a divide in our school district, and I do want to help bridge that gap and be a great listener and talk to not only just the Salem students or just the Mount Pleasant students and teachers, but them as a whole.
Good evening. Preparing for our future workforce, and I'm not trying to make light of this evening, okay? I'm just like, as a community, we're going to come together, we're going to get along, and it's going to work. It doesn't matter if 5 that get elected and come in and take over. So I think we prepare. So it says, preparing our future workforce for success is necessary for this community. How can the school district better engage with local businesses with career technical education programs? Not being a board member, that's a toughie, but I look at it, and I kind of went on today and I did a little search on the IJAG program. You know, how it's kind of working out there with certain students and what they do. So how do we get the community involved in this? I think we just go out there and we just start going at them. And I think we realize that not everybody's going to go to college. Not everybody's going to have that little white piece of paper handed in on their first job, right? So we got to get the kids involved. We got to teach them how they can work with their hands. And there's nothing wrong with working with certain thing at a certain time and earning it. And so I think we do that, and I think we bring the community together with a lot of programs. It's going to take a lot of work with us teachers, you know, and it's going to take a lot of effort on everybody's part to get the community, get involved with our students, and work with them the best we can.
Where do you see the district in 4, 10, 20 years, and what will you do to help get us there? Within the last year, 2 years for sure, the board has sat down and discussed a vision for what we see for the district, and I think it was 5, 15, and 20 years, 5, 10, 20 years, or 15. Obviously, a lot of that had to do with buildings and what we were going to do with that. I think this was before Iowa Wesleyan fell into our laps. So we were going down a different path, and then Iowa Wesleyan happened. And we are getting things with Iowa Wesleyan that we didn't think that we would get in the first 4 years. So I think this question, if you asked me 6 months ago, is different than if you asked me today because of Iowa Wesleyan. Besides the buildings, because I've been on record with those, what do I want to do? I want to improve teacher retention and our enrollment. Our enrollment's been going down for the last 10 years, 15 years, and that's something that I want to concentrate on in my next 2 years.
All right, so the question I have this time around are, what are your thoughts and/or concerns regarding censorship of books and academic text? So that one's kind of a tough nut to crack. The school in many different lights has to face different guidelines. You know, we'd like to retain as much local control as we have, but we also have to walk that tightrope of federal guidelines, state guidelines, county, city, what have you. So to me, I think having a well-rounded collection of books, historical and current, are a good thing. To me, the biggest thing is they're age appropriate. We don't want to hand out some more sensitive material to our younger kids, obviously, but I think that should be, to me, the selection of books in our schools should be more up to us and our local community than it should be at the state level. Obviously, we know our community better than the people up in the State House do. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to be moving on to round 3 now. And Mike, you'll be starting to answer here. We'll wait until we give everybody a chance to get there. Okay, we'll start this round with Mike Hampton.
What are your thoughts and/or concerns regarding censorship of books and academic text? Well, I think it's somewhat ironic that people want to have local control over things, but then you have the state legislature and the federal government pushing the state legislature that is deciding what is to be in the library at the local schools. I trust our librarians. It's ironic that our daughter, when she heard about this that was taking place at different places in the state of Iowa, she said, those were books that I read as a freshman, and she's not a freshman in high school anymore. But I think local control is better to have the decision to be made on what books are to be in the library and which ones are not. And I trust our librarians and so forth to make that decision along with the school board. It's guidelines that we have to follow. We have to follow. That doesn't mean that it's like the speed limit. You have to follow the speed limit. You may not like it, but you have to follow it.
So what particular skills or experiences qualify you to serve as a school board member? I do, like I mentioned, I have a variety of skill sets that I think would be a good use of our school board and being part of it. that I'd like to lend my expertise to. One of the other skill sets that I mentioned in my opening that I think would be a very good benefit to the Mount Pleasant School District is more of my marketing and communications background. I do own a digital marketing consulting business, and I work with the Southeast Iowa Small Business Association to help local small businesses with their digital marketing and promoting what they do. So I know that there are great things happening in our school district, but if we don't tell anybody about it, nobody knows, and it's not happening. So that's one of the skills that I really want to share with the school board and the school district is let people know what's happening and
What should our school district be doing to ensure the safety of students and staff? That could be a hot one because, you know, all over the country we see a lot of shootings, we see a lot of invasions of school. Does every teacher have a pistol? Does every teacher have a gun? You know, how far do you go? Where does it start? Where does it stop? And how protected are we in a small community? You know, I think we see things come into our community that we never thought would ever happen in the next 20 years or so, but they're here. So how do you protect it? I know that we have, I talked to the chief of police today, and I know that we have one officer that travels from school to school watching that. I think that's an excellent program that they did there. Can we up that? I don't know who pays for that. I don't understand all that. I'm not on the board to know that. But I thought, do we add someone else to do that? Do we take on another, someone from the police department? I think we do those things. And I think that we put a little more authority on the teachers saying, you know what, students can't get out of control. If they get out of control, then we can deal with them.
The school district has been discussing the future of all elementary schools. Please provide your thoughts on neighborhood schools, grade-alike schools, and/or one elementary campus. So I tend to follow the research, and the research that we were given on the board before making the decision to go to grade-alike schools was that the model that we have is about third best. Grade-alike in different buildings is second best, and one single campus elementary is the best according to the research for learning. You can see from how I voted on the grade-alike schools that I was for the grade-alike schools just for the collaboration. I think that a lot of concerns that were brought up with grade-alike schools could be addressed with a single elementary. Are there things that need addressed with a single elementary? Absolutely, specifically Salem, and if that is tied into the Mount Pleasant single elementary, or if Salem continues doing its own thing while Mount Pleasant does have a consolidated grade-alike or a consolidated elementary school. Those are discussions that obviously have not happened because first we need to finish or purchase the IOSA campus that is not completed.
The question I have this time around, what do you see as the current challenges facing public education in our state and the country? So, to me, the number one thing that we face, particularly here in Iowa right now, is funding from our state. The state funding is the largest part of public schools. In 2010, it was cut by 10%, as yet to come back all the way. Every year we get SSA, or the amount of money we're going to do to give raises to pay for improvements. It's not enough to even cover our raises right now among our staff. So it's a tough nut to crack. And now we have a public voucher system for private schools. So while I don't think that poses a huge threat to the Mount Pleasant district right now, it could at some point. One of the things I see facing public education is when our lawmakers pass guidelines or programs that are mandated for a public school to follow, but yet there's no funding for them, and that does happen. And that's just one more thing we have to come up with a way to pay for because we're mandated to do it, and try not to get to burden the local taxpayer at the same time.
If elected, what would you hope your key accomplishments of the board during your years of service? So my first thing, I really want to see a detailed strategic plan put in place. That's something that we work with community members, teachers, admin, school board members, local officials, and come up with what we want to see in our our community for the school district. That is laid out there. There's some other community school districts that have really good ones online. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows how it's going to be accomplished, and you can see what's happening year by year. We do not currently have that. I'd like to see that put in place as soon as possible. We have a lot of things that can be improved with that, including teacher retention, the facilities. There's a lot of things we could really see with that strategic, detailed plan that we'd action on.
This will be round 4 of 6. Daniel will be starting with you this time once Richard's finished. Please go ahead, Dana.
So, what should our school district be doing to ensure the safety of students and staff? So, I do believe that the school system has changed so much, even within the last 5 years, that we really need to be talking to our teachers, our parents, and seeing what their main concerns are. We have a lot of, some diversity in Mount Pleasant, and we need to be talking about that and saying what is the hot buttons. I do agree with the individual that is coming from the police department, coming into the schools, having a positive interaction with someone in law enforcement is a good thing for all students, K through 12. I would like to see him to have more support and being able to have another man or woman on the job in that case. There are a lot of students here. Another thing that I'd like to see, I think would do a great impact. Thanks.
What do you see as the current challenges facing public education in our state and our country? Let me take you back several years ago to Colorado, 5th grade, right? Mrs. Tyser's the 5th grade teacher. I'm sitting in the front row. She picks up a wooden ruler with the sharp edges on it. How many know what I'm talking about? She thumps it and misses the guy she's throwing it at. Hits me in the head, right? Put a little gouge right in my head. She says, come up here, bring the ruler up to me, stand out of the way so she can throw it again, so she threw it again. Okay, and hit him in the head. So I look at the teachers today. If a teacher pulled that off today, they'd be out, right? Flipping burgers or whatever you do. And so how do you put discipline in the classroom for the teachers to deal with the students? Life has changed a little bit if you didn't know that, right? Students are coming to school. Some of them probably didn't have breakfast. Some of them might not have slept. Some of them might live in a home that wasn't warm, that wasn't cool, that wasn't this. You're bringing them into a system. How do we teach? How do we let our teachers say, you know, you can teach us how to count to 100, but now you got to deal with the golden rule. Do unto others that you have them do to you.
An individual school board member has no authority. Only the board as a whole can make a decision for the district. What skills or traits will allow you to contribute to an effective operation of the board as a whole? I would say to start at help, the first couple of years of being on the board, first year, I just kind of stood back and wanted to look and see how the organization as a whole runs, how the process runs, how the board runs together. So I did that. And then the last couple of years, I really wanted to start giving my opinions, see what's working, see what's not working. In doing that, I feel like I've been pretty open to both sides of a topic. We'll just throw out the Iowa Wesleyan campus out there again. I've listened to what's been said on both sides to try and make a decision. COVID was a big one. We had to listen to what's best for, what some people thought was best for the kids, what other people thought That's for the kids. And I think just my ability to listen and look at both sides and not just shut somebody down because maybe I have a different opinion at the time, but to still listen to what they had to say and then reformulate my opinion is my best attribute.
Preparing our future workforce for success is necessary for this community. How can the school district better engage with local businesses with career and technical education programs? So number one, I'm a huge proponent of CT. I would love to see our CT programs expand. I've talked to the current teachers, some even past, about their ideas on expanding the program. A few years ago, for those who didn't know, there were some initial, get your feet wet talks with some neighboring school districts on doing kind of a regional CT program and share resources and things like that. I know there was just a lot of different play going on with different things. We did talk to local businesses, but at the time, one of the things too that was kind of put us on the fence a little bit about that was, it was at the same time we were starting up our FFA program and trying to take off two huge programs at once. But I do believe now is the time to start taking a hard look at that again and bringing that back into play for our district and our students.
Where do you see the district in 4 years, 10 years, 20 years, and what will you do to help get us there? So my last question kind of answered this, and I want that detailed strategic plan. But where I'd like to see us is a place where people come here wanting to teach. They come here to bring their kids. They come to Mount Pleasant to move here because of the school district. So I see a place where we can retain teachers. I see a place where we can educate our kids. The Career Center will be great to keep us in line with the local businesses. And I want to see all the kids here be successful. So that's what I want to see based on the strategic plan that we'll put in place.
What particular skills or experiences qualify you to serve as a school board member? My years in education, both as a teacher, as an administrator at Iowa Western University for 20-some years, as a past member of the Board of Supervisors, as a coach, public health. I've been serving on public health, so budgets with public health, budgets with the Board of Supervisors, like I mentioned. The fact that I feel enthusiasm. I'm excited about being able to participate in this community on this school board. And I think that can bring a lot of working with different ages of groups of people. I've worked with young, I've worked with high school, I've worked with college, I've worked with older people like myself. Another one is, I was a basketball official for 40 years. I ran up and down the court. I was called a lot of things, and I put up with it. And if you can do basketball officiating, I'm looking forward to being on this board.
All right, this round, Kevin, we'll start with you.
The school district has been discussing the future of all elementary schools. Please provide your thoughts on neighborhood schools, grade alike, and on one elementary campus. You're getting this not from the school board, but from a person that's just looking from outside. And I remember about a year ago, I think a letter was sent to most of the parents. And what I got from the letter was, were we doing this because other communities were doing it because it was something to help? Was this a behavioral problem that we're trying to solve by putting everybody together? That's how I understood it. And if that's how I understood it, and if that's correct, and it might not be, somebody can correct me on that, then I think that we need to look at maybe some different alternatives to that. How can we handle discipline in school? Where can we go with that? How can the teachers once again be involved in that? How can the principals and the superintendents, where do we go with those things? I'm not for sure, in my opinion, in my mind, that a central school is going to solve all the problems that I think that we're trying to solve by doing that. And once again, I can be corrected on that.
All right, preparing our future workforce for success is necessary for the community. How can the school district better engage with local businesses with career technical education programs? We can do better with our career technical education programs. I think we can expand on them. A year ago when we looked into it, we just need to make sure that it makes sense for Mount Pleasant. When we looked into it a couple years ago, it sounded good, but we already had the programs that they were wanting us to bring here. We had them. The other schools would have benefited from our programs. They wanted us to pay for teachers, but at the time, SCC would give them the designation to be able to teach because they didn't necessarily have their teaching licenses. A career technical institute, again, I'm all for. We just need to make sure that it makes sense for our district. What we can do right now, again, being with the McGuire board, I see all those kids in the building trades. We work with the building trades with them. We can get them partnered with businesses there. Same thing with welding. I think we can work with the manufacturers, with our welding programs, and the automotive.
If elected, what would you hope your key accomplishments of the board during your years of service would be? So for me, that's pretty easy. I would like to continue on with what my accomplishments have been so far. Being a good listener, making data-driven decisions, listening to community members, listening to our staff, listening to our administration, and do what's best for our kids overall. I would have to say, I had somebody tell me this week, I was visiting with somebody, they said, well, I didn't know if I could talk to you or any of the verb. I didn't know if you were very approachable or not. I promise you I'm pretty approachable. I may not smile at most, but I'm approachable. Feel free anytime to talk. That's what we're here for, is to be your voice and come together as a collective. So I would like to see our district continue to grow, strengthen our staff through training and enhancement. Anything we can do to make our school and our staff better makes our students better.
What do you see as the current challenges facing public education in our state and country? A lot of that has to do with funding. That's working with legislators, seeing how we can improve that. I know that Henry County in particular is, I think, at risk for a charter school to come in. There are no really accredited public schools. Once the private charter, the vouchers are take away the income limits after next year, I think that that's something that we'll really have to be concerned about and look into to see what we can do. And how do we make public education better in Mount Pleasant? That's going to be how we fight that too. How do we retain our teachers and give our kids the best education so that people aren't going elsewhere? That's what I see as the biggest threat right now.
An individual school board member has no authority. Only the board has a role and make decisions for the district. What skills or traits will allow you to contribute to effective operations of the board as a whole? Thinking outside the box. I think that's a major thing. I think school districts, school boards, other community boards and so forth need to think outside the box. Today's age, you have to do that. Ideas from the community, listening. I think some things I learned as a teacher is human relationships are a major aspect of getting along and getting things done. I think you have to be flexible. I think, change can be scary, but flexibility is important in being a school board member. And I think anyone who knows me knows that when I take on a project, my wife really knows this. I'm at it 100%. I'm after it, I'll get after it, and I think that's an aspect that I can bring to the school board, is someone who can get down and get dirty.
So, what are your thoughts and or concerns regarding censorship of books and academic texts? So, first off, we have to follow the state legislators and what they mandate. However, we have access to our state legislators to talk to them about what we think about the censorship. One of the things I'm actually really glad I got this question. I love books and I love reading, and I think the more reading that students do, K, even pre-K, before that, you read to them, the more you do throughout your life, the better you are as a person, more well-rounded you are. Even if you're talking about nonfiction or fiction, you learn things and you get to grow as a person and you get to explore. So I think the more books we can put in students and teachers and everybody's hands, the better. FYI, there is a book fair going on in our elementary schools and our middle school. I'm so excited about it.
Last round. Josh, any guesses who gets to start first this round?
Lead us off. What particular skills or experiences qualify you to serve as a school board member? Experiences. I've been a school board member for the last 4 years. So, as I said earlier, I have been on for 4 years. The first couple years were just, or year I should say, was just a learning experience as to how the school boards work. And then I've gone through COVID, I've gone through now Iowa Wesleyan stuff, gone through some master planning sessions, again, particular skills. I'm willing to listen, I'm willing to work through some things, and I just want to see what's best for our kids, our employees, and I believe everything can be improved upon all the time, and that's what I'm constantly striving for, is just to continually improve what we have. If there is no, we finally made it work, we are the best we can be. We could always be one step better, and that's what I will try to work for.
The school district's been discussing the future of all elementary schools. Please provide your thoughts on neighboring schools, grade alike, and/or one elementary campus. So I was part of the decision to move us to grade alike, and that didn't happen overnight. That was not a knee-jerk reaction. That process, it was quite a process. Survey inputs from staff, from administration, looking at research. It was a data-driven decision. I think one of the biggest things I heard from a lot of our staff, our teachers in particular, was, we have 4 buildings, we have 4 different cultures. We have trainings in different buildings on different days. We're not together. We have very little time to collaborate. It makes it tough for us to all be on the same page. So I am a big supporter of the grade alike. I think there'll be some tuning that happens and goes like anything else. We're going to get in place. We're going to find out we may have some, tuning to do, some tweaking there, but it'll happen. As far as the future, that's a big one. We have one elementary. If you have been through our schools, there's a couple of our buildings that are pretty short on space. We have students doing specials, getting some one-on-one. They're doing it in the hallways at a desk. We need more space. It's just how we're going to get there exactly, and that's going to be.
So I have the same question on grade alike schools. So I think our opinions are a little different on this one. Back when they did the high school law, and I'm told it took 6 times to get that passed. One of the things that they had to do was go from grade alike back to neighborhood schools based on what the community wanted. I think to go to grade alike schools, we need the community's involvement. Parents were not properly asked. So we got a survey sent out on a Friday at 4. The survey link didn't work. They went over the results that following Monday. That's not getting parent input. Teachers, I've heard from a lot of teachers that are not happy about this. We need to get that community involvement. We need to see if it's the right thing. I've heard the pros and cons of both sides of it. I think we need to go back and revisit and look at what we're actually doing. And I think that there's definitely more information out there, but we have to do it as a community if we want to be successful.
Where do you see the district in 4 years, 10 years, 20 years, and what will you do to help get us there? I hope that we expand career opportunities for our students. I hope that we can improve and increase STEM for our students, so you're catching both aspects. I think Mount Pleasant ought to be the talk of Southeast Iowa and of the state of Iowa in education. We ought to do everything we can as a school district, as a school board, to promote our educational system here. Our kids are the greatest asset that we have in this community. They will affect each and every one of us, businesses, parents, grandparents, labor force. There's so many things. So we have to be at the top of the garden. I'm a competitor. I was a coach for 40, 50 years. I'm a competitor. I want our school district to be competitive with the districts in Southeast Iowa and the state of Iowa. We need to talk.
Okay, we have a bit of a loaded basket because my question is, the school district has been discussing the future of elementary schools. Please provide your thoughts on neighborhood schools, grade alike, and/or one elementary campus. So I know there's been a lot of discussion about this in the community. I was not privy to some of the information that the current board members have, but in my opinion, the grade alike program with multiple elementary schools and jumping from one to other, they did that when I was in elementary school, and I don't feel that that's the most effective way. I do feel like, so Salem has scored consistently high on all of the elementary schools in Mount Pleasant School District for years. They have small schools, or they have small classes. Let's replicate that. They have a community sense. I do think that we need to build our culture better and have that consistency across our elementary schools. So having one elementary school is a way to do that, but there's other ways as well. And I'm out of time.
Didn't want this one at all. What are your thoughts and concerns regarding censorship of books and academic text? I agree with Josh on this one. No pornography. Got to be 16 years old to drive. 18-year-olds to smoke. I think 21 to drink in the state of Iowa, I'm not sure. How old do you have to be to buy Playboy magazine? If you haven't made a decision on me yet, you will. You go to a grocery store, you go to what, and they're covered up. The Playboy magazine is covered up. Why is that covered up? So kids can't see it. What are we dragging in, and what age are we going to show these kids? They don't need to learn these things at an early age when they don't even know who they are, or what they're doing, and what life is all about. We're teaching them things. So from my opinion, yeah, we need to censor it a little bit. And everybody says, well, the state's going to tell us what to do. Really? We're going to let them tell us what to do on every issue the rest of our lives? Let's vote somebody in maybe that can change and do what we feel. And maybe you don't agree with me. Maybe that's okay. That's fine. That's what we all have different opinions.
Okay, so that was our 6 rounds of questions. We're going to conclude our program tonight now with closing remarks from each of the candidates. Each one of the candidates will have 90 seconds for their closing remarks. And we're going to go all the way to the other end. And Melinda, we're going to let you start with the closing remarks for tonight.
Thank you. I've always believed in volunteering in any community where I live. So I brought the experience of being on the Carlisle School Board. After I moved to Mount Pleasant, they had a vacancy for a 2-year term to finish somebody's term. So I served on the board in 2015 to 17. And then again was asked to come back at the end of last summer to fulfill the term of Willie Amos when he moved out of our area. So I was very willing to serve on the board, and I'm excited about the opportunities and would like to continue serving. I'll give you an idea of where I stand on some of these questions and issues that were brought up tonight. I voted in favor of the purchase of the Iowa Wesleyan campus. I see great opportunities there. We can keep it a very viable educational center. It's a great buy, a $15 million gym, a $15 million chapel. We can open those immediately back to use for the community and for the schools. We can move our district offices there and save $60,000 in rent. Then after that, I think with community input, we can decide how to use and develop the rest of the campus. I also voted in favor of the grade alike buildings, which are scheduled to start next fall. I feel it's the best environment for student learning and for teacher collaboration. I agree we need to do a facility study on our buildings. Our elementary buildings are aging, and our enrollment has been dropping. I support expansion of the career technical educational program. Not every student is interested in a 4-year college degree, and the trades teach very important skill sets that we could use here in our current labor force. I'm a proponent of transparency and open communication lines, so I invite everybody to continue coming to our meetings. They're open to the public. I think we need to focus on teacher retention. They need to feel supported, respected, and appreciated. The bottom line, I want our students to learn in a safe and nurturing environment. So I ask you to come vote on November 7th. Thank you.
I'm running for re-election to help our students, our staff, our parents, and our community. I'm very proud of the work that has been done on the school board during my time. There hasn't been any snap decisions. All the research and decisions have taken time, and we've come to a decision on that. Some of my decisions are with the grade alike elementaries. I saw the equity difference in our schools in Mount Pleasant. My student, 3rd grade student, had 16 kids in his class. A student at Lincoln had 24, or a class at Lincoln had 24. That's not equal and that's not fair, so that's why I voted for the grade alike elementaries. When I got on the board, a facilities assessment was completed, and we went and toured every building in our district. What stuck out to me was the bus garage, the transportation building needed to be updated, and the site of that also needed to be relocated. Second concern was the condition and the lack of space in our elementaries. So in June of this year, I was able to tour the Iowa Wesleyan Central Campus and to see the uses for what we could need, which would be more gym space and auditorium and office spaces. And I believe that takes care of that. Every decision I've made and will make is for the benefit of our students.
Well, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for all of you for coming and showing your support to all of us. Due to time constraints, we weren't able to answer any of the questions that they were offered. I'm more than willing to answer any of those questions or any others that you might have. Feel free to reach out. I'll be glad to talk at any time. And I'm going to carry that forward if elected. I want to stay in touch with everyone in the community, everyone that's currently working in the schools, and try to best support everybody's decision. But it does come down to a collaboration between all board members. I want to lessen the gap between teachers and administration and help them feel heard, work on retention and hiring. I also want to bolster the focus on mental health in our schools to help support that better so that behavioral health is more understood and supported, to give the teachers a little bit more opportunity to teach and not focus on having to discipline. I want to give my time and volunteer and do my civic duty, and I would appreciate your vote, and we'll continue to take input from anybody and everybody and try to put it in place on my time on the board. Thank you very much.
All right, so I've been on the board for the last 4 years, and we started a big project just a few months ago. I would like to see that through. In addition to that, something that's been nagging us for the last couple of years is teacher retention, teacher pay, staff pay from our pairs, our support staff, our custodians, that we've tried to address, we need to continue to address, but ultimately what needs to be done to address that is more funding. And we can either get funding, we can hope that the state provides us more, which I don't like to put my, I just don't trust that they will do that. So the one thing that we can try to control or have an influence on is our enrollment. If our enrollment goes up, funding does increase too, as we have more students. So the last 10, 15 years, enrollment's gone down. Again, I would really like to see our enrollment go up and for Mount Pleasant to be the best school in southeast Iowa, if not Iowa. Have us be a pillar, again, of education. We need to see some test scores go up too. Currently, our test scores come back at state average. State average is not good enough for me. So have higher test scores for our students here too. Whatever we need to do to improve that. I know they just sent an email earlier this week that our test scores were better this year. So we are already improving, but we can always do better.
Yeah, thank you for coming. It's great. I do appreciate your vote. If you happen to do that, that'd be great. That's the nice thing about it. We are a democracy, okay? You get to leave here, you get to smile at us, you get to shake our hands, and you get to go into the voting polls and vote against us or for us. So that's just kind of how it works. You know, it's really great. It's a great system. It is good. It's that. Now, I don't believe that 5 people can run the community school. I'm just going to be real honest with you. I'm one of those 5. I don't know that we can run it. I think we need your input. You guys are going to have to keep putting input into us all the time, teaching. We've got to keep learning so we can do what you want to do, what you're thinking. That's how the system works. Community picks the board picks, and the board helps run the superintendent. I mean, that's how it works. It just, if that gets out of order, then we are in trouble. And I think we're doing pretty good now, but I think we need to kind of work on those things. Students, that's what it's all about. If it's about anything else but students, we are in trouble. Then what's our next step? We've got teachers. We got to take care of them. We got to take care of them, and we got to take care of our community. We're all community. Had somebody tell me the other day, said, "Well, you're spending the money on the school. You're doing this stuff out here. It's government money." Time out. Where do you think government money comes from? Is Iowa Westwood a good choice? I don't know. I don't have enough information on that. Looking at what I do know, I don't know that it's the greatest decision that we're making yet. Okay, I'm going to tell you that, so you know that. If you vote for me, I have not made the decision to do that. We have 68 acres. I keep getting asked that. How come we're not using our 60 acres? I don't know. I need to learn that. I've heard a lot of things about that. But we got to get in there. We got to get dirty. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you very much for your time.
So, as you hopefully can tell, I am very passionate about education and helping our school district and our community thrive. So, I'm going to try to keep this in time. And I do believe in increased communication, and no matter what we're currently doing, it's never enough. We have to meet people where they're at as far as communication and let our community know what we're doing as a school board. So I do believe in that and increasing our communication. I also feel that Iowa Wesleyan does fill an immediate need of auditorium, central office, and gym space. But if we are only seeing that property as an opportunity to have one central elementary school, we are missing the mark. We have the opportunity to grow our school through there, and if that means a CTE program there, if that means, who knows? Let's think outside the box. Let's not try to just pigeonhole it into one thing. That's the great part about visioning, listening to the community. What does the community need? and what does our school, education, and teachers need. I want to look at not only what is needed right now, but what is needed in the future and how we can grow our school district. And then I do think that now is a good time for me to lend my expertise. I have a variety of skills. Follow me on Facebook, Dana Millard, MPCSD board.
Again, thank you to all of you who took your time out to participate in coming tonight. That's great. I'm an old government teacher many years ago in the school system, and interesting enough, I was the one that started getting our high school seniors who took government to go to government meetings, school board meetings, etc., because I thought it was important. I also thought it was important to set the example. By setting the example to get involved in the community, getting involved as a former member of the Board of Supervisors, and now on the school board. I do think that the purchase of Iowa Wesleyan University campus is a positive thing. It's positive for the whole community. Now, there's a lot of things, as was mentioned, could be possibly used for it. STEM, career learning. Whether it will be an elementary one campus, I don't know. Maybe it'd be better to be a high school campus. I do not know. But I think that's something that is up to the community to make the decision on. Communication is always tough. It's always easy to say, I didn't hear, I didn't know about it. People don't read the papers. They don't listen to the radio. All of our public meetings should be streamed. That is one way that we can get the information out. Now, not everybody will probably watch streaming either, and will still hear the excuse, I didn't know about it. But it's good to see some of you out. Remember, vote. You can still vote early this week and vote next Tuesday.
Thank you all for coming. I hate public speaking. This is one of those things that I really don't like to do. So as I've talked to, I don't know how many people, so many people, and just once I said I was running, I've just been talking to a lot of people, former admins, teachers, parents, community members. I've learned so much, and I want to continue to do that. So please reach out to me. I'm easier to talk to one-on-one, not public speaking like this, because I really do hate it. I really do think that I can make a difference. I think that there's a lot that I can be useful for, and you know, remember to go vote, even if you don't vote for me. I'd love to see the participation on November 7th.
All right. At the risk of sounding redundant, I'll add it in because I think it's well worth saying. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you to the Chamber for putting this on for us and mediating tonight. So, I will say one thing I'll add is, at a very young age, my parents drilled into my head, and made it a part of my being and my soul to give back and volunteer. And I will say, all the volunteering I've done with different organizations over the years, the last 6 years of the school board have been the most rewarding for me, and I would like nothing more than to have your continued support to keep going. Being part of different projects over the years of the school board, the last 4 or 5 years with strategic planning on our facilities, been quite the experience. Always feel free to reach out to me or any other board member anytime. And I will say, one thing I can say, if I look back and reflect over 6 years, I've seen more community involvement and input as a board member in the last 6 months than I have in 6 years. And I think that's fantastic, and I ask you guys to keep that up because we make our decisions based on the data we have. If we don't have a lot of community input at times, we don't know what people are thinking. We have to be told this, we're not magicians, we don't know what people are thinking. So always feel free to reach out and share your opinions. So thanks again for coming out tonight and appreciate your support.
I'd like to say thank you to all the candidates this evening that showed up. We appreciate your willingness to serve, and we certainly wish you all good luck. As a reminder, the vote is November 7th for your candidate of choice. Thank you so much for being here this evening, and have a good evening.